Hello and thank you for watching. This is STSC back again with LEGO Transformers Predaking Part 2, Rampage. Here we have Rampage in his tiger mode, and I'll admit it is kind of rough. Turning him around, you can see he has some kind of short-looking limbs, and the torso is kind of gappy, but again, just like the leg bots, I really prioritized keeping these designs very simple and lightweight so they could function as limbs in combined mode. I think Rampage in particular is kind of unphotogenic. I think when he's in your hand, it looks a little bit more natural like a cat, but when trying to capture it in a picture, it does come across a little bit clunky. His midsection works very similarly to the leg bots, but I think here it looks a little bit more natural in terms of proportions, but of course there is this big gap in his back, which is kind of unsightly, and in general I wish the colors were cleaner, but unfortunately I had to make some conceits so that he was properly color blocked in robot mode. I think my biggest issue with cat mode is just how blocky the thighs are. It's a byproduct of how he transforms into an arm mode, but it just looks kind of ugly in this mode, and I really wish I was able to make a more defined cat leg. There is still the shaping there, there's the little digitigrade knee and a paw, but it does look kind of almost vestigial. For a size comparison, here we have a minifigure, and here we have Tantrum. That's all there is to say about Tiger mode, so now it's time to transform. Here we have Rampage in his robot mode, and I definitely think it's the better of the two. This was the one I prioritized in terms of color placement, and I think it really shows. He looks a lot more solid and doesn't have as many gaps or weird colors going on. However, there is one thing that does majorly bother me. While designing Rampage, I really struggled with figuring out his torso transformation. He's the only one of the limb bots where the animal head doesn't form the robot head, and that really threw a wrench in things. I wanted to keep his upper body to a certain size, which meant I could only go so complex for the transformation, and the solution I came up with looks, well, a little bit awkward. I think his shoulders look very slouched, or it almost looks like he's wearing a turtleneck, maybe. I don't know, I just don't think it looks great, and I kinda wish I could figure out something a little bit cleaner. Taking a look at his back, you can see there is a little bit of kibble. I don't mind the tail sitting on his back, but I do wish the armature could sit a little bit more flush, as it does jut out kind of awkwardly. He also does have the combiner joint here hanging off his neck. For articulation, Rampage's head can look left and right. His shoulders can go forward and back as well as outward, and he has a 90-degree bend at the elbow and a swivel at the wrist. His hips are mixel joints, which can swing forward and backwards as well as in and out, and his knees are also mixel joints, which can get pretty much a 180-degree bend. His ankles are on pivots in both directions, as well as a swivel. For accessories, I've given Rampage a pair of claws, which can both clip into his hands. For size comparison, here we have a minifigure, and here we have Rampage with Tantrum. If I'm being honest, Rampage is probably my least favorite of my Predacons. I think he suffers the most for having to combine, and compared to the others, he just looks a lot more goofy and awkward. However, I do think he turns into a pretty awesome arm, but I guess you'll just have to wait and see.